There's a player in Detroit who still hasn't gotten over one specific moment, and it's shaping everything heading into 2025. Meanwhile, a key figure in the locker room made a decision that put the entire team on alert. Dan Campbell is already moving behind the scenes, and an unexpected name might be stepping into the spotlight. The latest updates out of Detroit are packed with emotion and decisions that could change the course of the season. Hit that like button because this episode is full of twists and turns. Jameson Williams is heading into 2025 with fire in his eyes, and it's not because of the Lions' most recent losses, but because of a wound that still stings from the NFC Championship loss to the 49ers. The wide receiver made it clear, losing to the Commanders in last year's playoff hurt, but nothing compares to falling one play short of the Super Bowl. I don't think people really understand how much it hurts until you get to that game. We were one play away from the Super Bowl. That one hurt way more, Jameson said, holding nothing back. And that kind of pain is being stored as fuel in the Detroit locker room. Since 2022, the Lions have been defying expectations and silencing critics, but they're still missing that final piece, the Vince Lombardi trophy. In 2024, they charged into the NFC Championship, led at halftime against the Niners, and collapsed. Last year, they even earned a first-round bye despite a wave of injuries, but were stunned by the Commanders at Ford Field. But if there's one thing Williams makes clear, it's that this team isn't sitting around crying over spilled milk. We carry that frustration like a chip on our shoulders. We don't think about it constantly, but it's there, burning in us as fuel, he said. He knows it's a long season, but that wound seems to have become his focus. And speaking of focus, the 2025 version of Jameson is locked in. He's more mature, more centered. Dan Campbell's in his corner. New offensive coordinator John Morton loves what he's seeing, and Williams just wants to work. I've always been that way since I was a kid. Mentality to outwork everyone. My dad texts me all the time saying, "Go out there and work harder than everyone." That's what I do. With that fire and that mindset, if Jameson can turn that frustration into performance, the Lions might finally take that next step and leave those painful losses where they belong in the past. Will Jameson's pain become motivation on the field? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And get ready. The next story reveals a gaping hole in the heart of the Lions, literally. This week, the Detroit Lions took a gut punch with the retirement of Frank Ragnow, and this wasn't just any loss. He was the heart of the offensive line, multiple-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro, a technical monster, but the injuries caught up to him, and he's decided to hang up the cleats. Now, Detroit's left with a massive hole right in the middle of the line and needs a quick answer. And it looks like Dan Campbell may have accidentally revealed who's going to fill that spot. During a conversation about roster versatility, he practically let it slip when he praised Graham Glasgow, saying people forget that he can absolutely do an excellent job at center. It's not an official confirmation, but let's be honest, it sounds like Glasgow is the current frontrunner. Glasgow already has experience there. He played center during his time with the Broncos, and he's getting first-team reps in practice. His 2024 numbers weren't great, a 57.9 overall PFF grade with run and pass blocking in the low 50s, but experience counts, especially compared to a rookie like Tate Ratledge, who's still adjusting to the NFL's pace. Here's the catch. This is likely a temporary solution. Glasgow will probably hold down the fort while Detroit evaluates things. The plan might be to groom Ratledge for the role, and if everything works out, shift Miles Frazier to guard and realign the pieces. The problem is, Detroit's offensive line, which was easily top 5 in the league, is now hovering around mediocrity without Ragnow. Penei Sewell is still doing magic at right tackle, but Jared Goff, David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs are going to need way more than a good enough line to keep the offense humming at the elite level we've seen in recent seasons. Bottom line, Graham Glasgow looks like the next center, not because he's the perfect solution, but because right now he's the best option available. Williams is on the right track, but without a solid line, the offense might stall. Ragnow's retirement leaves a wound that won't be easy to heal. If you're a Lions fan, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing.